So you've probably heard the story of Jesus healing a man who was born blind in John chapter 9. But you know, the most shocking part isn't the miracle. It's the verse that sounds like God caused the blindness just to set up a teachable moment. If that's true, that would kind of make God pretty cold, right? But the good news is that's not actually what's happening at all. The real meaning, it's way better. So let's dig in. So when we read the story, here's what it says. I'm just going to read it to you real quick. Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus says, no, neither of them. This happened so the works of God would be displayed. At face value, that sounds kind of brutal. So let's go slow and actually understand what Jesus is saying. First of all, he's rejecting their entire framework. The disciples assume what many people still assume today. Well, if something's wrong, somebody caused it, right? Blindness, well, it's a curse. Curse equals somebody sinned. It's the same thinking Job's friends had, and God rebuked them for it. You know, all this bad stuff's happening because your life isn't right. You're living in sin. You're doing something wrong. And God says, not so fast, boyos. So here Jesus cuts through it in the same way. Neither this man sinned nor his parents sinned. He's not saying they're perfect, but he's saying that this suffering isn't punishment. It isn't karma. It's not some kind of divine payback. He's dismantling their incomplete theology with a single sentence. You don't understand how things work. Second, there's actually a Greek word that really helps us here, and it changes everything for us, because this is what causes the shift. The phrase that we read in English, so that the works of God might be displayed, hangs on a single Greek word, which is hina, so that, or in order that. Now, Greek doesn't use punctuation the way that English does. So in actual fact, when you look at this as a Greek sentence, you can read it two ways. The normal, traditional way, he was born blind so that God could do something. But you could also read it as, neither this man or his parents sinned, but in order that the works of God might be displayed, we must do the works of the one who sent me. In other words, Jesus isn't explaining the cause of the blindness. He's announcing the purpose of the moment. It's not so much that God did this. It's more, watch what God's now going to do through this. And that's a massive difference. And you can read it both ways because of the structure of the Greek text. Third, there is some Old Testament tension here. The Bible wrestles with this connection between suffering and sin. Deuteronomy gives us a simple equation. Obey and you're blessed. Disobey and you're cursed. But Job, the Psalms, Isaiah, they all complicate that equation. By the time Jesus shows up, this debate is alive and kicking. And he wants to clarify, and he's doing that right now in this situation. Not all suffering is a direct result of personal sin. And that's the good news. That's the message. That's what we need to hold on today as we deal with things that come against us that aren't good. Number 4, the miracle itself is actually a creative moment. See, watch what Jesus does. He spits on the ground and he makes mud and he puts it on the man's eyes. But why mud? Why dust? Because Jesus is reenacting Genesis 2. God forms humanity from the dust of the ground. This isn't just a healing moment. It's a creative moment. He's forming something that's missing. And then he opens what he's created. John wants you to see it clearly. This is the God of Genesis. This is the God of Isaiah, the one who forms eyes and the one who opens them. He's not just fixing a broken creation. He's actually bringing in the new creation. And that takes us to the big reveal. Because this miracle isn't actually about blame at all. It isn't about fault. It isn't about God scripting a disability. It's about the Creator stepping in to a broken creation and making it new once again. The man wasn't born blind for this moment, but this moment is where Jesus steps into his story and reveals who he really is. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who's wrestled with suffering or with the hard parts of Scripture. If you want more deep dives like this, hit subscribe. We're going to drop them every now and again, and hopefully you'll find them helpful.